Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Squad for Noobs video. It's been a little while since I did one. I have done 3, I believe, and I do like doing them. It just kind of got away from me, but we're going to be talking about Jedi Knight Revan, the classic team. Because a lot of players, I feel like, don't fully understand what he does, what his purpose is, how to use him. Because in the end game right now, Jedi Knight Revan is a tag along for like Jedi Master Luke. So if you watch most players that do Garrett Arena on YouTube or late game, and then you might not be seeing the full potential of this team. So I think it's really important to go over this team specifically. The lineup I recommend is Revan, Yoda, Bastilla, Jolee are a lock, and then the 5th is somewhat flexible. If you have Hoda, definitely do Hoda. If you have another option is a tank. So if you have like Mace Windu floating around, General Kenobi, even old Ben if you need to, those are great options to slot in. So let's start out by talking about each individual character's mechanics, starting with Revan. And first we have to talk about the center of the team himself, Jedi Knight Revan. Now Jedi Knight Revan came out in 2018 and he kind of ushered in a new age of Galaxy of Heroes because with his super bloated kit is when kits started to be like books. Tons of abilities. I mean, he's like a hero's journey character, so like CLS or JTR is the same amount of abilities, 2 specials, 2 uniques. But he was like an order of magnitude more powerful at the time. And now a lot of people like prefer CLS over like a standard Jedi Knight Revan team, which is fine because like he's got a lot of extra support added over time. But Jedi Knight Revan is still amazing on offense. So let's start by talking about his abilities with and without the Zeta. I'll talk about the Zetas later. But he gives lots of extra stat boosts, plus for each Jedi and Old Republic ally, which Jedi Knight Revan, Bastilla, and Jolee count as both, he's going to give out 5 speed, 5% crit chance, 5% offense. So as long as you have Revan, Jolee, and Bastilla, between the 3 of them, that's plus 30 speed. And then the other 2 Jedi you have is 40. If you have Juhani in there, that's 45, but usually you don't want to use Juhani. And then the same amount of offense. So those are great boosts. And then all units are immune to bonus turn meter from leaderships until the first turn of the battle. That's like an anti-Bastilla mechanic to make him not use under Bastilla back in the beginning, but still a nice thing. He also gives everyone strategic advantage, not everyone, like strategic advantage at the start. So like the first character to take a turn gains this little blue icon. It looks like his mask over their head, and then you can use it to call an ally to assist, and also that ally gets cleansed. And the character that you have that used it assist to. So if you have Revan, you usually want to call Yoda. So Yoda goes attacks and then Revan attacks. Yoda will most of the time gain some turn meter from that too, if you do that. And then while you have this, it can't be countered. So it's very important to keep an eye on this, the little blue thing, because if you're facing a counterattack heavy team, it's not really safe to use an AoE until you have that. So if you have Grandmaster Yoda doing his AoE to steal, if the other side has stealth, you don't really have to worry about it because they'll take the stealth and then they won't counterattack him. But Jedi Knight Revan, it's a good time to use this turn meter swap. So this ability, and I can just show the Omega because that's not as hard to get. It's an AoE, cleanse the whole team, and swap turn meter with someone. So usually you want to pick who has the most turn meter, either someone you really want to take a turn or someone that has the most turn meter so you can get back around to another Revan team. And then if you have strategic advantage, there's retribution over there, just make sure you have strategic advantage or something before using that. Most of the time though, you want to start with this ability, and the Zeta is going to add buff immunity and a cooldown increase and stun. But even without the Zeta, this is going to mark the enemy for 2 turns and call all Jedi allies to assist, reduce their turn meter. So this is like 80-90% of the time your opening move. So you do direct focus on an enemy that you want to take down. This is super helpful if the other team has a tank or tanks that protect people, or they are about to put someone under stealth. You mark down the person you really want to kill, and then everyone can just go at that character until they're dead. So it's a really amazing opening. His basic is the most simple thing about him. It's just more damage to dark side enemies, and if they're marked, he gains 20% turn meter. So he's calling the assist for all Jedi, and then he's going to give himself a little bit of turn meter because he's hitting a marked enemy. It's a pretty simple basic, not too much to it. The next mechanic we're going to talk about is Savior, and this is one of his biggest values, like even outside of his standard team on his leadership. It's not a Zeta, it is an Omega. I don't know if I said Omicron earlier. Omega and Omicron mixed up, 2 Greek letters with the letter O. But he ignores taunt effects, so that's a perfect combination with his mark ability. He gets around the tanks that are out there, marks someone so everyone else can too. Basically, if someone's about to die, he saves them. They get 100% max health, 100% protection, and then crit immunity for 2 turns. So say this is Yoda that goes down, or is going to go down and gets the savior. Takes a bonus turn. He has crit immunity. That's worth spreading with his special ability, because crit immunity is no joke. It's an amazing buff. And they're just cleansing everything off. This only applies to Revan if he is the leader, so not if he's the ally. So if you're facing a team that has Giant Revan as an ally, not a leadership, you take him out first, because anything else is going to be wasted. So that's why you go for him first. And then Hero, his last ability, it's somewhat less impactful than the rest. The Zeta is immune to stun and ability block, and he also spreads out bonuses to the rest of his allies. Without the Zeta, he just gains 10% max tenacity, health steal, max health, max avoidance, defense, and critical damage. So it's a small boost for a lot of stats. And it's hard to really truly notice the impact on it. Like with the Zeta, he's going to pass out 5% of those totals. Or, yeah, allies are going to get 5% of those bonuses of their own stats. So it is a pretty complicated kit, but I'll talk about, like, when I do a test run, I'll go over like what you actually want to be doing as you go through things. And then I'll talk about the Zeta priority for the whole team as in one group later. Next up, we got Grandmaster Yoda, and he is absolutely essential for an early Giant Revan team. It's fantastic. Yoda is the first character I ever relicked, ever, because he does an amazing amount of damage, and this is the engine of this team. He doesn't have any unique, which is very interesting, and we do not care about his leadership ability, so I'm not even going to talk about it. Don't use him as a leader, ever. So that leaves a basic and 3 specials. His basic is one of the things I love about him the most, because if you're attacking someone that has over 50% health, you're going to gain 40% turn meter and foresight. And the Jedi Knight Revan team is a lot about assists. So the direct focus is a mass assist, and Yoda's going to hit someone. Hopefully they have high health, so he gets turn meter. The strategic advantage where you pass back and forth, that is an assist, so that's going to give Yoda some turn meter. Most of the time, you're going to want to call Yoda with targeted assists, like every single time, because he does the damage, and he gives him some more turn meter. I don't really care about potency down for 1 turn. Also, if they have less than 50% health, he is going to get good offensive buffs, offensive and decent defense penetration for 2 turns. So if he doesn't have those buffs already, it is kind of nice. If he is at full turn meter, target someone with less than 50% health and get those buffs for him. He also has this AoE, which does a couple things. As long as you have the Omega and there's 1 living Jedi ally, so if he's the last one left, he's not going to get a bonus turn. He's going to steal all the buffs from the enemy team, get a bonus turn, and then he's going to be able to pass around everything with this. So what this defaults to giving him is tenacity up and protection up, 30%, and he passes it to everybody. But he also passes everything else he has around the whole team. If you have the Omega or the Zeta, he also starts with foresight, but you can get around this, because if you had him basic someone before he gets to do this and they had full health, he's going to have foresight already, so you can kind of get around the impacts of it. But he does get a lot of extra turn meter from the Zeta too. So normally, without the Zeta, he's going to get 35% turn meter after he does this. With it, if you're doing a full 5v5 team, he's getting 85% turn meter. So he is cycling through turns like crazy. So Giant Revan's usually the first one to go, calls a mass assist. Yoda does a basic on someone gets some turn meter. He goes, and then if the enemy has good buffs you want to take, you do this. If they don't, you might want to just pass around battle meditation. So you can get like 3 turns in a row. He takes so many turns. And the ability I use the most situationally, and I actually use it the least, is this second special. It is bigger damage, so if you really need to do a lot of damage, this is what you will want to do. But it's the only ability he has that doesn't give him turn meter. You remove 70% turn meter, so that's another reason you'd use it. If an enemy's about to take a turn, you really need them not to, then you do this. Also, if they're under 100% health, you can stun them. So it's kind of hit or miss, like if those actually happen. But the biggest reason I use it is if I want really big damage. Back in the day, I countered Darth Revan with Giant Knight Revan, and it was a stronger Darth Revan team than I had. I'd mark Darth Revan first, get Master's Training on Yoda, get him all the buffs, and then use this big ability on Darth Revan to kill him from 100% health to 0, so he wasn't equalizing with someone else. So that's one instance where you would want to do that. And that's his kit. It is kind of complicated, but the core elements of it is he's getting turn meter all the time, he's spreading buffs, and he does a lot of damage. So he's always, in almost every circumstance, going to be the one you want to call to assist if you have a choice. And next up, we have Bastilla Shan, Revan's paramour, and she is just a great support character in all this. Does a lot of helpful things. Her leadership we're not as focused on because we're probably not going to be using her lead. So we don't need to worry about that. And that's her only Zeta, so we're not going to really need to worry about Zetas on her with this team. So the first big support thing she does, actually I'll start with Rally. So this is, to me, the most fun, most valuable thing she does. When she takes a turn, she can give out all these buffs to an ally, which is going to be Yoda, exclusively, only Yoda. Like, it's extremely rare you would want to call Jolee, but you might want to in some circumstances. But you give out tons of buffs, offense, defense up, speed. So they just used the one word and then put up only one time. So offense, defense, speed, accuracy, and critical chance up for 3 turns, and then they're assisting. So it is kind of nice if she goes before Yoda, because she can pass all these buffs to Yoda, and then he can spread them all around. But sometimes Yoda might go before her, and then you might want to just hold off on spreading the buffs. So that's a big thing she does. Another huge thing she does is Legendary Battle Meditation. At the start of her turn, she recovers 2% protection for each buff she has, and all allies gain 3% turn meter, doubled, and Legendary Battle Meditation for 1 turn, doubled for Jedi. So like all Jedi are going to get 6% turn meter when she takes a turn, which is overlooked a lot. So her taking turns is a good thing. You do want her to be fast, but you do want to be targeting Yoda with more turn meter if you can. Legendary Battle Meditation is a great buff. The effects are doubled for Jedi, so just consider it 100% potency and 70% counter chance, and it can't be dispelled. It's only for 1 turn, so it's like after Bastilla goes, as soon as a character goes, they lose it. But if Bastilla goes and then the other team's going, you're going to have basically retribution on everybody. It's really nice, and the potency is more impactful than you think. The only one that doesn't get battle meditation is Bastilla herself, so that's kind of unfortunate from the standpoint of the person using this team. Her basic is actually pretty great too. It has ability block for 1 turn, so that's really, really helpful. And it has 20% potency for each active Jedi ally. And it doesn't say other allies, so it's plus 100% potency. This is a very reliable ability block. Very nice. And it's more damage for the allies too. So really good basic. I think it does a little bit more damage than her special, her second special. This is a situational one. You want to save this. You want to save this for if you don't have someone marked and you're able to get around taunts. You want to save it for a key dispel. Buff immunity is an important aspect of it, and possibly a stun. So you could possibly stun and possibly do buff immunity. I'd wait until you really need those. Like if an enemy has tons of buffs and they're about to go, or they're a key character, you just try it to get the stun. It's situational. Like starting moves almost all the time rally, and then her second move, a lot of times I just use basic. But she is a great support character, especially under Revan. There's all these extra bonuses for the Force Bond unique. So if Revan is in the leader, which is the case with this team that we're talking about, her and Revan have 70% accuracy, potency, and tenacity. That's a big deal. That's a lot of tenacity. And Revan already has some boosted tenacity anyway. So like tons of potency for her. That means her basic has like plus 100% and then plus 70, so plus 170% potency. That's why it's a very reliable ability block. And then this is situational. If Darth Revan is on the enemy team, she gains advantage and retribution at the start of his turn. So that's not like really that impactful, but it's kind of just like a call out to the game. But yeah, that's Bastilla. Great supporting character, super valuable on this team. Next character is Jolee Bindo, and I love this guy. This was my second ever relic in the game. I did Yoda and then Jolee. That was my Squad Arena team back in the day, and there was crystals in Squad Arena, so it was massively important. The big thing about him is his Zeta, and it is an important one. Without his Zeta, this ability is just a dispel and a little bit of a heal. With the Zeta, it's a ridiculous revive every Jedi ally at 80% health, and crit immunity for 5 turns. It's insane. This is one of the reasons why it's such a good offensive team compared to defensive team. If you have it on defense, whoever's attacking it knows this, and they're going to be able to try to mitigate and make sure that Jolee goes down. But he is a tanky guy. Like, he gets a lot of health and a lot of crit avoidance. And as long as he is still alive, he can bring everyone back. So that's the value of him. He is pretty slow. That's one of his weaknesses. I haven't given him too much speed. I don't use him in this capacity as much anymore. It's usually a tie-in on a Jedi Master Luke team if I'm needing him. But early game, he is kind of slow, and that's kind of a weakness. But one thing he's really good at, you give him extra tenacity. His relics give him some crit avoid. But he gains 100% tenacity. He's immune to turn meter reduction. So even though he's slow, he's not going to have his turn meter reduced at least. And he gains crit avoidance equal to half his tenacity. So plus 100%. I have 100% here. That's plus 100% crit avoidance. And that's not relics or anything. And you can give him this much tenacity no matter what level he's at. I mean, his base varies. But if you give him tenacity sets, which is an option, you can get tons of crit avoid. That makes him really chunky, really hard to beat. I do prefer to mainly focus on health, but I think to say tenacity. Oh, I need to slice that. I can get more on him. Sorry for that interlude. Extra offense, yeah, not that important on Jolee. But that's important. And then he also gives himself plus 30% max health, and he's giving out protection out for 2 turns equal to 30% of his max health when he targets allies. So that's with both his specials target allies. The other special, which is useful too, this calls someone to assist, heals them a little bit, and then heals all Jedi allies a little bit too. So most of the time, actually exclusively, you want to do this with Yoda if he's alive. You call Yoda to assist, one of the many assists you call to Yoda. Yoda is attacking more than everyone else on this team combined, basically. It's insane. He's attacking constantly. And I've referenced instances where you might not want to call Jedi Grandmaster Yoda with the assists if you have the option. And some of those instances, the only exceptions I can think of is mainly Jolee. If you really need an ability block, maybe you call Bastilla. But his basic reduces his cooldowns of his other abilities by 1. If you have already done the heal and you have allies dying, you see a bunch of death coming, and you have some assists, call him to assist so he can recharge this revive. So that is one of the big examples that you might not want to call Yoda. Everything else, if things are going smooth, if it's smooth sailing, clear skies, you want to be calling Yoda. Like, he's doing your damage, he's getting buffs, he's doing crazy stuff. That's it for Jolee. He gives tons of survivability stat boosts, and like tenacity is just helps him not be stunned or ability blocked or anything like that, so he can revive. So he's the fail-safe on the team, which is super great when you are the offensive team. Like, if you're taking on a team that will kill you a bunch, but then they're going to be in a tough spot, like General Grievous, usually if he survives, you bring back the whole team, and then you turn a dire situation into a victory. So yeah, Jolee, awesome. And now the 5th slot, it is flexible, like a few of the teams I've talked about in this series. But the standard is Hoda. A lot of that is because it was Master's Training, lots of extra stats for Grandmaster Yoda primarily. I'd apply this to Yoda, then Revan, Yoda, then Jolee, sometimes Jolee first if you're expecting things to go down, and then Revan, and then Bastilla. So this is doubled on Jedi, so it's 50% accuracy, defense, offense, potency, and tenacity. Amazing. And it's a mass assist, so it's yet another assist for Yoda. Like, every single character has an assist that you can call Grandmaster Yoda with. Also, if he's assisting, so Jedi Knight Revan uses his mark, everyone assists. And Yoda is giving out 5% turn meter to all allies. That is not insignificant. If you have like 200 speed characters, that's the equivalent of plus 10 speed. If you have 300 characters, it's the equivalent of like plus 15 speed, kind of, but better, because it's like it's post the initial calculation. So if an enemy's about to go, or like very close to go after Jedi Knight Revan, and then you do that mass swarm and Hoda does his basic, then you might have a bunch of other characters that are getting to go. his uniques are kind of just supportive to him. Like, he starts in stealth, 100% evasion while stealth, so he's a great safe option to have there that's not gonna die. I don't even have this Zeta yet, so if you can, like, when I go over to Zeta priorities, I don't think this one takes priority. So without it, if someone with Master's Training is defeated, he gains 100% turn meter. So it's a bad situation if that happens already. I don't know. This one is kind of nice. Like, it's foresight on all allies, protection recovery, and a cooldown decrease. If you don't have it, you can go without it. It just equalizes all health percentages, ignores healing immunity, and then all allies recover 20% health. So it's a mass heal. His basic kind of does that too. 10% health and protection, so it's not that much better. The equalization is what's nice. It, like, ignoring healing immunity. But yeah, you just want to spread Master's Training with him. It's very valuable. One other option that I hadn't talked about, so you, like, tanks are a good option to have in the 5th slot, but like, if you're like me and going for like Galactic Republic fleet early, Plo Koon is a good option there. You make him slowest, and then when everyone else is taking their turns, gets to him, he does this ability, gives 50% turn meter to everyone, and it's a great turn meter train. So that is worth mentioning. I'm not going to go into anything else in Plo Koon's kit. It's not that great. But this team is all about turn meter and Yoda assisting. So now let's talk about modding. Now that we've gone over all the mechanics and we know how that fits in for each character, we're going to look at my modding and then look at competitive modding on Twig.gg, which can be, a lot of times, it's with other teams in mind. So we'll take it with a grain of salt. So Revan, main thing, just speed. You really just want as fast as possible. He's not an offensive, he's not a big damage dealer, so you don't really want to sweat having a ton of offense. He's one of those characters where some people just ignore what the primary is in, and yeah, just give him whatever. But my primary here, I have defense just because I'm trying to get a lot of speed. Offense there, just again because of speed, and like I'm just neglecting stuff in protection. So these are all bad modding things. Like I am ignoring a lot of advice I give to other people, but I do have speed set and health set, and that is something I would advise. Yoda, you do want offense. You don't want crit damage because I like crit damage sets because he has really low critical chance. Like, he deals special damage and has really low base crit chance. Even at R80, he has 23% crit chance, so it's terrible crit chance. I have offense here, and then health because his protection is pathetic too. It's like really bad. Some people say you don't care about speed on him because he gets so much turn meter. I do think you want some speed, so don't neglect his speed. It's just like, don't give him a speed set. Don't try to like juice him up. Like, focus on the offense way more than the speed because he is going to be assisting plenty. Bastilla, you want to give her some potency. It's because of that ability block, even though she gets a ton of boosts anyway. I mainly go for speed and survivability on her. Like, she's not a big damage dealer. But she is low priority for me on mod, so I just give her whatever I can. Like, protection is good. She has pretty good base protection. Potency is good. Health is fine. Like, health or protection. Like, they're both fine. Jolee, mainly health. Health. Give him some speed if you can, but you want him to stay alive. Tenacity, I already talked about tenacity is another option. You don't care about the offensive stats. He's not there to deal damage, so you don't need the crit damage triangle or anything. Just health, maybe tenacity like I have for extra crit avoid, and health. And then I gave him speed just because he's a little slow, and that's the speed arrow is one of the easiest ways to speed him up. But yeah, health. Hoda, he's all about speed as well. Like, obviously, no damage dealing stats matter at all. He doesn't deal damage. So you want survivability stuff like health protection or tenacity or something. You also don't need potency at all. So he's very limited in what he actually cares about. But he's one of these characters I don't really care as much about the primary. So I have defense there, protection, health. Like, it's spread out. It doesn't matter too much. I mean, he has tons of evasion while he's stealth, so he doesn't get hit a ton. And he's usually not people's first focus when they go for when you're fighting them. Even on, like, if you're on offense, he's not like a huge focus. The AI isn't targeting him much, so mainly only speed you care about. And now to take a look at the competitive modding, so to speak. This is a sample of the top 1,000 Kyber players, so full disclosure, they have different purposes for a lot of these characters in their modding. specific modding requirements for other things than the standard JKR team. So things might differ, so just be warned. But I still think it's better than looking at, if I were to look at like low Grand Arena brackets to see what they do, because they might not be modding well. So the consensus is speed and health set with a lot of health everywhere. I talked about that. Like if you do want health, I talk about it on roster reviews a lot. I don't have it. I haven't preaching it. I am not practicing what I preach, because health primaries are scarce for me. I need them everywhere, but it's like a lot of health primaries, and speed is what people focus on. This set combo, which I do have, 61% of people use it. The other 10% just have speed, and that's like where you don't care about other stats. Like I said, like you're just not even trying to get a secondary set. So you don't see that very often, where it's like a just speed and you don't have a secondary set there. I do prefer to have some kind of secondary set. Surprisingly, a lot of people are doing crit damage. He doesn't have a great crit chance, so I'm a little surprised by that. Protection is very low, and what I have on defense is the lowest. I do think defense and health have kind of comparable rates of survivability. It's not like the worst thing. Health and second most for the cross, and second most common is offense, which is a little surprising. That's what I do have. But yeah, health is pretty dominant, and then protection there too, because I think a lot of people have protection crosses. Health is a 61-39 split on the circle, and then speed dominates, absolutely dominates on the arrow. So not too far off from what I have been talking about. And Yoda, I'm surprised that speed and health is the primary thing here. And this is an well, I guess I'm not too surprised. This is an instance of Kyber 1 players having a different agenda than you will as a noob or a beginner player like Carbonite or Bronze Aim or Chromium even. They run speed because they run him on a Jedi Master Luke team against a Jedi Master Kenobi team where you don't gain any turn meter. They are still all about the offense, but they care a lot more about speed. Second most common combination is offense and crit chance. There's a lot of characters that can just neglect crit chance because they have such high already, but I do recommend crit chance set as a secondary set on Yoda to get that up. Second most common is offense and health. So with two different offense schemes, that's 37%, and there's 32% that are using speed set. So if you look at this at a glance, it seems like more people are focusing on speed, but this is just an example of people differing what types of secondary sets they want to use. Because actually between this and then no secondary set, there is 41% are using an offense build. So over 32%, or 36% if we can count this. So offense is still favored. This is where I disagree. Crit damage, he has such a low crit chance. If he gets advantage a lot, then that's an example where that's going to be mitigated. But I do prefer offense there on him. Health is another thing. You don't want protection because his protection is abysmal. Offense, pretty clear on the cross, 54%, with health coming in second. Health pretty dominant on the circle. Protection on him is a mistake. He has basically no protection. It's pitiful. And then the arrow is dominant, and then offense. Some people do offense, but most people are doing speed, which I think is a good idea. And then health coming in and at third, distantly. Next up is Bastilla Mechanics. She's the one where I was like kind of iffy, like wishy-washy on her mods. It's like, what does she really need? Looks like protection is popular, speed and health. So speed set is going to be very common. So if you combine these top three, 79% of people are using a speed set on her. 35% use a health set as secondary. 34% use potency. So that's very close, like neck and neck. It could change tomorrow. And then 7% just don't care about the secondary set. This lines up with what I said: protection, health to survivability. But it's very split. Like this really kind of backs up what I was saying. Like there's no huge consensus about which stats she wants. Potency is the most popular on the cross, and then after that, protection, health are kind of even. Protection and health, this is about as neck as you're going to actually see in real data. 52-48, that's nothing. That's basically 50-50. And then speed dominant. Like most people, you just want speed arrows. Like it's everybody. I know it, you know it, everybody knows it. Speed arrow. For Jolee, lots of health, full health set. Tenacity on the cross seems popular. 46% use nothing but health sets. I'm actually in this 25%. I use one tenacity set on him and two health sets. So this is just a gradient of how much you want health down to tenacity. As we go down, there's more and more tenacity, and you go up, more popular, more and more health. But the dominant thing is focus on health, health, health. 5% are using speed. It's kind of interesting. Triangle, health, no contest. Cross, pretty close between tenacity and health. I mean, obviously, you saw I have a tenacity one. They're just sliced up. It's giving him not only tenacity, but crit avoidance. Very nice. And then health. Both are pretty important. It just depends. Like, if he's like gear 12, you might want to do tenacity because his health pool isn't as good or something. Or if you're under gear 12 too, so it depends. Health, just dominant, 83% on the circle. And then speed, this is actually kind of close. I'm surprised people are doing crit avoidance instead of health. I mean, he already has a good amount of crit avoid, but you can get it. Like, you can start preventing crits from those above 100% crit chance characters like Han Solo or Supreme Leader Kylo Ren sometimes. But he's going to get so much crit chance eventually, it doesn't matter. I don't know. I have the speed. Kind of interesting. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just, I don't know, I'm a little bit surprised. And then Hoda, speed, like, wow, the most common triangle is defense. And I think that's just because people, like, don't know what to do with their defense triangles that are fast, so they just give them to someone like Hoda. 59% use speed and health, 90% don't care about a secondary, but it's all about speed. Speed, speed, speed. Every single one of these sets has speed in common. That's all you care about. But yeah, this is not a consensus at all. Defense, protection, health. It's just, you want a survivability stat. These here, it's just because they had high speed and they don't care. But yeah, that's very, very close between all of them. That's kind of crazy. Same thing with the cross, protection, defense, health. One of those. Tenacity also has implications. Potency and offense are completely useless. Avoid at all costs. And protection, health, kind of ambiguous. So yeah, like whether he wants health or defense is up to you. It literally just depends what you have. Like, you don't have to sweat it too much. So Hoda is pretty simple on the modding. Now let's talk about Zetas. So there is an argument to have Jolee's first, absolutely first, and you might have it if you have him running under a Bastilla team before you have a Revan. But if you have this whole team available to choose from, I'd probably go for his leadership ability first, Revan's leadership. You get protection recovery on attacks out of turn. Attacks out of turn do 35% more damage. And then when this is like a convoluted mechanic, when you use a basic on an enemy with bonus protection, so think Treya or Nest, reduce their max health by 10%. And then Jedi allies begin the battle with tenacity up. So that, I think, is much more bang for your buck. It's not a backup plan, a contingency plan. Jolee's revive is amazing. It's clearly impactful. But that's like a failsafe. So you want to get out and running and avoid that situation. So that's why I like Revan's leadership first. And then second is probably Jolee's Zeta. A third, I would go back to Revan and do direct focus. What this adds is the buff immunity for 2 turns. It's a locked buff immunity. Nothing they can do about it. They're going to get buff immunity. Increase cooldowns by 1. Cannot be resisted. Very helpful. Very important. And then stun the target for 1 turn. So those are 3 massive impacts. Huge. That's the third Zeta I'd give on this team. Fourth Zeta I would give is probably Yoda's. Just for the extra turn meter gain. You can get by without it in a lot of ways because you, oh no, sorry for clicking on the wrong thing. That's his leadership. Do not apply that. No, never. But you can spread foresight without this if you just get him to basic someone with high health. But it does add turn meter, so it's helping him cycle through his turns fast. So that is number 4 for the Zetas. Bastilla, we don't need to worry about her at all. It's a leadership Zeta. Don't worry about it for this team. Hoda is low priority too. So I'm going to say number 5 is Revan's hero Zeta. And this just prevents him he can't be stunned, ability blocked, and then giving out more stats to the allies. So I think most people do that third on him. And then for the team overall, it's number 5. Hoda's like low priority. I mean, this is extra healing and then foresight. It's very, very low priority. High priority, Giant Revan's lead, Jolee's revive, and Revan's marked, then moderate priority Yoda, and then the last Revan one. That is all for the Zetas. Now let's talk about what they actually beat, and I think this might be eye-opening for some people. Also, I forgot to mention that there's no Omicrons on this team. It's just like it's going to work the same everywhere. So that's a nice thing. So what they beat on offense, this is only from the recent Grand Arena stats, but there were no Jedi Datacron, and this is all like high Kyber 1. There was no Datacron active for the Jedi. It was a Ufu Datacron primarily, and like Scoundrels. And a lot of the matches I'm seeing on this list are reminiscent of what I have done and what I had to do in the early game. So you might not see Radis super early, but I think Zori is going to be more and more popular, and this is a bona fide way to take care of that team. So the only comp that it's really struggling more on is a Rose with Resistance 0 Poe, and I assume that they have a lot of these losses are from the Omicron. I don't think you'll see a lot of Omicrons in early mid-game on Rose. You might see it on Zori, but Giant Revan is very, very valuable for taking out Zori. If she is open, if she is once she gets out of stealth, you can mark her down, but you can also mark down Jedi Resistance 0 Finn, take him out, get rid of all those counterattacks, and he's super important to the team. Very valuable. Also, General Grievous. It's 100% win rate at this level. A little bit tougher in like an early game scenario. You just need to make sure your Jolee is beefy and you're going about things the right way. You want to mark Grievous as soon as you can. So that's an instance where you're going to swap turn meter first, probably. Wait till Grievous comes out to play, and then you mark him down and kill him. So that's a big way to tackle that. Qui-Gon Jinn. I'm sure this is plaguing a lot of newer players, and they don't know exactly how to deal with it. But if there's Qui-Gon Jinn with the Omicron, then Anakin. Even when there's Cam there, which most of you aren't going to be facing Cam if you're like a lower level player. You can just mark down Anakin, I think is probably what you do. Get him weak, and then you can like increase his cooldowns or stun him, or you might want to kill Grandma Qui-Gon Jinn first. I don't know. But even if they wipe everyone out, if Jolee survives, you can bring him back and take care of it and recover a lot of banners from attacking out of turn. So Qui-Gon Jinn and Zori are going to be valuable. Dash, probably not going to see it as much, but that's another thing that's valuable. Scrolling down here, like trench teams, even Maul teams, like there's a lot of stuff you can do. It's just hard to find stats on it. You can even, edge cases are like Darth Revan. I talked about how I did it. Like you juice up Yoda, you get one big hit, you mark Darth Revan, even though no one's going to assist on him, and increases his cooldown so he can't fear everyone, and then you can attack him. Juice up Yoda for one big hit to take him from full health to 0. You need a really strong Yoda for that, though. There's a lot of like B-level teams that you might see early. Mon Mothma. Shakti is a little bit harder with the Bad Batch clones, but like without Bad Batch, that works. Now take out Geos, which is kind of a scourge to newer players. A lot of these are later game teams. You can take out Phoenix if you see it on defense. Like it's gonna be a Swiss Army knife for offense of most things you have to handle. You're not really gonna be able to handle a Traya team. I don't think. I think that's like a hard counter if they have Omicrons, which most of them do in Green Arena. But outside of Green Arena, if you see Traya, like Giant Revan was designed to be Traya, so you can use him there too. It's just a lot of. It's going to be a really nice team to have. Like most things that aren't like GLs, and aren't like super new, super juiced up teams, like I don't know, Seer team or something. Giant Revan can go take care of them. So very valuable on offense, and I do recommend using him on offense only. And even though I only recommend him used on offense, you might come across someone eventually that uses him on defense. And these are some suggestions. It's hard to find data on it because no one sets him anymore on defense. I don't know if Phoenix can take it with Rex. It just depends who they mark down. You're probably playing Russian roulette at that point if they mark down like Rex or something. But if you have like Zetas and you can turn me to train, this might work. CLS can work if you have the full team up and running. You want to take out Yoda quickly. And then once you've exhausted the Savior, try to take out Giant Revan. Imperial Troopers, if you get them fast enough, they can do it. Just be careful who you Savior. Try to do Yoda. Or make sure that the Savior triggers during a mass swarm and then take them out. So I'm trying to focus on like newer game teams, like a lot of later game teams that you're not gonna have tons of access to. Are gonna beat them like Gas or a Seer team with Malika. Like those teams, there's plenty of teams that can beat him that are like, I don't know, hard, like GP gated, like with Conquest characters and stuff, or like legendary unlocks. But I'm trying to focus on more accessible teams. Trade with Omicron is going to manhandle it, but that's too valuable. You probably want to have that on defense. Padme can beat it. I think especially with Mace Windu in there as a 5th can help get around taunts, target people, shatter point. A lot of good stuff to do there. And then General Grievous can do it too. I recommend Newt Gunray as the 5th if you are running this team. This isn't a team like I recommend like you get super early, but I think a lot of people do it anyway, so that's why I'm including them. B2 Battle Droid is super nice, like that buff immunity on Yoda. When they're like Giant Revan can be General Grievous, but you need your own user control to do specific things. Giant Revan is a very high skill intensive team because there's tons of choices to make. So many choices, and you need to know what you're doing. But if it's on defense, it's going to be a little bit dumber. It'll just mark and spam specials, not care about who it targets, and then you can take it out with Grievous. So these are just some recommendations. It's not an exhaustive list, but there's not much data out there to go off of. And now to do a test run, and I have a pretty good. We have a pretty good galactic challenge for it right now. It's a Maul team, which has Traveling Taunt, which Jedi Knight Revan is an expert at getting around taunts. And they have a big bad that we want. There's one big target we want to take out fast and make sure we get him down. So that's Maul. I don't have any bonuses, extra bonuses as a Jedi player. Accuracy was reduced for everyone, and I don't know, like some extra stat here. But let's go. Let's see what happens. I think they're gonna go first, and we want to just mark down Maul. First thing, like that's the first thing we want to do with Revan. We want to be calling a lot of assists. So he starts with this AoE and attacks Yoda. Yoda, that's unfortunate. He already had the Savior triggered. However, I want to be a little bit greedy and wait till I have Basilisk buffs to spread. But I do have this crit immunity for an extra turn. So I'll do that. Call on Maul. We want to be doing as much damage on him as possible. Get the Grandmaster's Training there. And actually I will go ahead and spread this because I can't wait another turn because I want to have the crit immunity. And then the offensive buffs are mainly important to have on him, so I can do that with Bastilla. And since Yoda is the first one to go, he has this strategic advantage. So I could use this, I could pass off to someone, and I might decide to do that. But I could also choose to go for a big hit on Maul. Maul can't be stunned because they have 5 stacks of Anguish. Django's going to go and is going to give a bonus turnout. So, but since I have this, I can use this, steal an extra turn, so just get a little bit more chance there. And let me call Revan here. He might do a little more damage. And then I took him out. So I had choices there. I could have used the big hit to turn me to reduce, but I used strategic advantage for 2 different hits, and then I don't know if that counts as Yoda attacking on a turn to give him bonus damage, but it worked out very well. Got Maul down before his second turn. Now we're just gonna have to work through everyone else, which isn't a huge. There's not a huge risk from a lot of these guys, but there is. Like Django can prevent revives. Beskar Mando, OG Mando can. So I'm gonna mark Django next time I get a chance. And I want to keep Foresight on there. Gotta be careful. Let's Dispel, get rid of that. And then buff immunity is helpful. Maul is gone, so we no longer have a traveling taunt, I don't think. Just go for Django. And that is the battle meditation coming in, causing all those assists. So I have this at strategic advantage, so I can safely do that without getting countered by anyone. I don't know if they have counter anyway. Retribution. And then most of the time with strategic advantage, you want to pass that back and forth between Revan and Yoda. I could mark here, but he's on death's door. Like, I can kill him soon enough anyway, so I'm going to mark OG Mando just to get a kill on him. And he died, like, so I'm not stuck behind that mark anymore. I'm going to get rid of Django. I just keep basicking because it's tons of damage, and I like to cycle through the turn meter. Bam's using his like protection ability, but he can't protect this guy. So the specific matchup isn't the important thing here. I'm just trying to demonstrate what I actually do with him. Okay, I have some buffs, and I have this available, so I'll spread that. Tons of turn meter. I already got another turn. Pass to Revan. This gives Revit. Why I want to give it to Revan is he takes the most turns, so he has the most chances to pass back and forth with Jolee. So he has this. None of these are available. The turn meter swap, I don't think I've really been demonstrating as much. So in this instance, I don't have anyone I desperately need to take a turn. So I'm going to look for who has the most turn meter. This makes it easy. It's Bastilla. Swap to Bastilla. She does her thing. And I can't hurt him right now, but he's got tons of turn meter. And then I pass this to Yoda. I don't need to mark someone. I can save it. I can cycle back around through turns. Get the bonus turn. Pass back. I don't have all those buffs that I had before, but I still have a lot. So pass it up. So it's just Yoda and Revan just tag teaming it a lot of the time. And we had taken hits, but I had enough time to do all these attacks at a turn and recover protection. Are you kidding me, man? Like, this is just annoying. This is an annoyance now, like when Yoda... All this extra turn meter is just a pain now, so I'll just try to let him take a turn. But I hope this battle demonstrated a lot of the mechanics, how it works. See, no turn meter there, because he is below half health. It actually helps me in this instance. This is my first time getting this again. I would put it on Jolee. And there we go. But Yoda is a crazy damage machine. Yeah, I didn't have any faction-specific bonuses in this. I think that was a fantastic demonstration of how this works. I don't always get to use a good, true demonstration, but this Galactic Challenge was a good one. So that is a wrap on the Giant Revan Squad for noobs. This is a team I love. I do not think it's outdated. It has plenty of play for a long time, and you can get decently far in the Jedi Assault battle with it too. So this is a team I'm going to be going for, I'm going for Giant Revan on my new free-to-play account. I don't know how many months it'll take, but I'm going to get him. Not a difficult to unlock. Just make sure you're relicking Yoda first, and then Jolee second, and then maybe Jedi Revan. But Yoda and Jolee are the big relic priorities there. Yeah, so thanks so much for watching. Let me know if you have questions. Again, offensive team, not a defensive team, but don't sleep on it. All right, thanks, guys. I'll see you later.